of us in kids, and the millions listening live around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready for Around the Table.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Royal Rumble Eve edition of Round Table Wrestling. This is also our last episode on Kish Radio before we switch over to YouTube Live, where we will be doing live coverage of the Royal Rumble tomorrow, starting with the pre-show all the way till the last man is eliminated and someone points at the WrestleMania sign. As always, I am one of the hosts, Keith, the Wild Man Miller. And with
Willer.
me, I did almost say Willer. Hey now.
Hey.
And with me, sparking one up to get this conversation started, David D-Lo Logan.
Don't play with your cock in Cockeysville.
Oh, man.
That is good and terrible. And the distinguished Pablo Kino Aquino.
I use big words with my small little brain.
Indeed. And he will be bringing us the news. What do we got, Pablo?
Here comes the news. So, if you watched any of Raw, this won't be much of a news thing as far as you probably have seen it, because who hasn't seen that? But shout out JD McDonagh,
Hey.
the walking bobblehead, the man. He put his best foot forward and his rib cage went forward when he hit that table. And my goodness, it did not looking at the stills, it looked really bad. So
Yeah.
it's been reported from him actually that he has broken ribs and a punctured lung.
Right.
And he collapsed after, which is something that people had seen live, but he collapsed when he got back.
I'm assuming he couldn't breathe, so he probably collapsed from a lack of freaking oxygen.
Well, all that fluid that's
pain.
probably running through his lungs and all of that, because punctured lung is that's a real
no joke,
real issue, you know, like when your rib cage shoots out and pretty much like stabs your lung. I don't know which lung it was, but we wish him a speedy recovery. In other injury news, Dakota Kai is also. Keith, do you want to speak on that, being the Dakota Kai fangirl you are?
Yeah, and I mean, I want to say something about JD too, so I wasn't sure if we were just going to wrap all the injuries into one or man, I love Dakota Kai. I think she is so talented. She has so much charisma. But man, it might be time, you know, like 2 torn ACLs and now she has a concussion. And this was not her fault. Like Zoe Stark. You know what I mean? She freaking took her out. But it's just yeah. It's just it sucks, man. She had a good career on the indies, and then she comes to WWE and she can't stop getting hurt. But it might be time for her to just be a manager or step away. You know, it just sucks.
I was gonna say it seems more like she'd probably transfer over to a managerial role anyway, because of how, you know, she had been shown on TV kind of being the mouthpiece for Damage Control. And
right.
It is rough because we see it all the time, you know, wrestlers that want to wrestle, that love the business and have been wrestling for years and years and years. They come out and then, you know, the injury bug gets us all.
Yeah.
At some point.
And I kind of want to segue into the JD McDonagh injury off of that because this is what is being reported happened. Michael Cole went to a commercial when there wasn't one scheduled, which thank God. But then the paramedics came out and checked on JD McDonagh or the EMTs and let him decide whether he was going to keep wrestling or not. Of
Oh.
course he wants to keep wrestling, but he went back in there and took crazy bumps. Like, he did not just take that one bump where he hit the back of his neck. He went in, he took that knee, he took a couple suplexes. I think he did a dive afterwards.
He did a dive, yeah.
Yeah, he took like 4 or 5 more just insane bumps. And the match was great. You know what I mean? It was a really good match. All 4 of them, hats off to putting on a great match. But there are fans who are praising JD McDonagh for his toughness, and I mean, that's all well and good, but that's not even pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, pro wrestling is not about going out there and actually damn near dying. And I really feel like it should have been taken out of his hands at that point.
That's the thing about it, like being
there are EMTs, you know what I mean? They should have been able to detect a freaking loose rib, and a punctured lung. Like, all right, but yeah, Pablo, go ahead, man. What were you gonna say, brother?
Resilience is one thing, but the guy could have injured himself to the point of no return.
Right.
There is no your call in that case.
Yeah.
You have to put the X up whether you like it or not, if it's that bad. And just looking at what happened, everybody and their mother could see as soon as he hit that there was something not natural about the way his body moved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that they gave him the choice, I understand the resilience and the wanting to entertain the fans and keep things going.
Yeah.
But that was very dangerous, and I think that they should have made a business decision instead of letting him make his own business decision. They should have overrid him, because what happened if it got worse or he started spitting up blood, or he just passed out in the ring before, it's wild.
Yes. I mean, thank God this didn't happen, but what if Ivar had given him that German suplex and he died? You know what I mean?
Like more rupturing of your body, you're hitting the mat hard, and it's not much padding there, and things rupture, things move around. You know what I'm saying? And it could have been wild.
Yeah, and how would everyone have felt? You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad it didn't happen, but that was a mistake. And the fact that no one is talking about it, they're just like, oh, he's so strong, he's so tough, good for him, have so much more respect for him now. You should have already respected him, because JD McDonagh, despite his role in the WWE, is a killer wrestler, dude. Yeah. He's good. It shouldn't take almost dying for people to go, whoa, hey, good job, buddy.
Part of me wonders if it was him wanting to go out on his sword, but also him wanting to make up for the fact that he's had it in bad old past, like back when he was Jordan Devlin and all of that, when he first started on the scene. He's my age too. He's about to be 35 soon, which is
right.
He's not like spring chicken, but at the same time, the guy just moves well, and he's a good competitor, but that would have been a really horrible thing, and he's out for a few months, but at least he's not out for the rest of his life.
Right. And this is the thing too, like, what if the injury hadn't been that bad? Like, what if he had some broken ribs, but his lung wasn't punctured yet? Let's just say, what if? Now he's missing the Royal Rumble. He's probably missing WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And if for nothing else, those are 2 huge paychecks that he's missing out on.
Very much so. WrestleMania, and I had a feeling that he would have been in a big tag team match with Finn.
Yeah.
Because this was only going to be a precursor to something more, I felt like.
Right.
Or if they turned on each other, where it was going to be like Dom and Carlito against those 2 in WrestleMania, and then actually get a culmination, and now it just kind of leaves him in in No-No's world.
Yeah. There's so many consequences to this thing that people aren't even looking at. And I mean, I'm glad he's okay. I wish him a speedy recovery, but I hate how this whole thing was handled. I just do. You know?
How do you feel about it, D'Lo? Do you feel as if they should have stopped the match right there? Like, should we allow wrestlers to just like when CM Punk tore his tricep, he already knew and he was cognizant of it. You know, like you hear all these interviews that he's done. He was like, as soon as I felt that, it was I knew it. But like,
Okay.
is
There's
there
some
any place
injuries.
for that?
But so I think it's a judgment call. Like if things are obvious, like a broken leg, obviously you can't keep going after that. Like for some things that like you might know you very injured, but you feel like you like I'm gonna keep going. That adrenaline takes over. Adrenaline takes
Mhm.
over in those moments like that, and that makes you want to go even higher and go crazier. I think that's what was in that moment for JD. He was that adrenaline was wrong. He was already killing it. He just did big moves, so that's his signature. That's one of his big
Mhm.
moves. So he does that. He wants to keep going. Those momentum is his. That's mainly why. And they was asking like, "You good?" They go ask, "I'm gonna keep going because that adrenaline's gonna keep running in you." You're like, "Oh," and I feel like a superstar again. That's why he was killing it. That's why I had a banger. That adrenaline's gonna take over every single time. Doesn't matter what it is, unless it's something out of place, like a
Well,
dislocated leg or something like that. Unless it's
well,
like
like
that.
his rib cage was out of place. Like that's
Right.
part of me feels like you have to go in for the betterment of the wrestler,
Well, I say that,
and
but
you have to. It's but
someone
yeah,
gonna
I get
go
what you're saying.
hardcore.
You're right about
Yeah.
there was the
I
Someone
feel
gonna
like if
finish
you're
their
dealing with
job and do
internal
the
injuries, man, you can't be.
like say with Andrew Luck. He always was playing, even though he would get fucking mutilated by his linemen. They
Yeah.
still want to go out there and go hard for his team.
well, he also retired
Exactly.
much
Stupid.
earlier.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
Come on.
know, him and
The damn
RG3
Dakota for
rushed.
that.
Here's the thing about RG3, right? He was injured and he didn't play the entire preseason that year after the after his rookie season where he had
Yeah.
the most amazing. But Dan Snyder, aka the Vince McMahon of NFL,
Damn.
he was like, no, he's on Subway commercials, he's on all these endorsements. We have to let him play, even though Kirk Cousins was 4-0 in that preseason. And Kirk Cousins ended up having to take over anyway because RG3 can't walk anymore, or he messed up his knee so bad from you know doing all of
Yeah.
that. Like he was JD McDonagh, where RG3 was doing all of these crazy moves, and he was putting himself in danger being as small as he is. You know, it's like
Oh, RG was a big dude. He was like 6'3", but like
RG3,
but he was just skinnier.
he was
He was
six
tall.
two, but
He was
like
like tall.
he was lanky and he was very this he was fragile in that way. His legs
Mm-hmm.
weren't kind of like Jaden Daniels, like he's very skinny, but he's
Man,
also
All right,
six
fellas.
four,
So
a little different.
we're gonna have to put a pause on the news because Chance Prophet is about to come on in.
Hey,
Um, yeah, we're
Mhm.
gonna give him about a half hour here. We're gonna talk to him about some stuff, and then we'll get back to the regular scheduled roundtable wrestling. Right. All right, Chance, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing,
All right,
Keith?
awesome. Hey, how's it going?
Doing
So
well.
everybody, I'm Keith, and we got Pablo and David. Those are our other co-hosts
What's going on?
here
What's going on,
today.
Chad?
How's
hello.
that, man?
And yeah, we want to welcome everybody. 25-year veteran,
Oh,
staple of the Indies. One of the guys who just been doing it forever and done it everywhere. Mr. Chance Prophet. So welcome to the show. Appreciate
hi.
you.
Love the background as well for all those looking at the
Uh,
Yeah.
at the live feed. He's
Let's
got
did
his
disguise
many
my
many
basement
faces.
too.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool. So I don't know if David and Pablo got a chance to watch it, but I checked out the Grappalaccia documentary that PBS did just
Yeah.
recently, and it was really cool, man. I saw it because Casey King was sharing it around, and Casey's a great guy. I actually had him work for me in Indianapolis a couple years ago. Well,
I like him a
Connor,
lot.
yeah, he's a
I
good
like
guy.
to stab him. I like to stab him a lot.
Yeah, nice, nice, nice. Oh, that's gonna lead me to something else that I wanted to talk to you about. But what was it like being featured in that documentary? And if you want to tell people about it a little bit and whatnot, that'd be cool.
Yeah, Grappalachia was put together by Troy Rankin over at West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Um, he got a hold of us about a year to a year and a half ago and wanted to feature a lot of us, mainly the hotbeds in West Virginia at the current time. And he featured a lot of my students, which was crazy. And he's like, "Yeah, we want to talk to you." I was like, "Oh, you want to talk to Grandpa too? That's cool."
Nice. Nice. So, I got a question that I have to ask you about. And then I'm gonna kind of let Pablo and David ask a couple questions too. I do interviews a lot on my other podcasts, so I'm kind of an interviewer, if you will. So I have questions in mind. But back in, I want to say it was like 2010, maybe.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah. Uh, I was living with Apollo Star,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
and yeah, and he was out at war, and you guys had a match. And he came home and was so freaking excited about that match because he never does that style. You
Yeah.
guys wrestled all over that freaking building, man. And
Yeah.
Q never goes out in the crowd. He never does. You know, I mean, I don't know how much you
He's
know about
masked.
him,
He's
but
a
yeah,
locked up.
yeah. He's in the ring, but he was like, man, I've never really done a match like this before. It was so fun. I want to work Chance Profit all the time. I don't know if you guys ever got a chance to work together again, but he was super
Well,
proud of that match, man.
I was gonna say you did Chance, you did beat Apollo Star for the championship like maybe a few years later, no? If you said it
Mm.
was 2010, 2012, but you beat him for the NWA
Oh no,
heavyweight
Apollo
with in
never
that
had the
three-way?
NWA belt, but I
No,
wish.
there was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
three-way. You, Drew Skills, and Apollo
Oh, that was
Star.
Yeah,
HWA. They're
Yeah.
like
XWA, okay,
version
right on.
3.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was good to get back together with them, but like that match at War was just crazy fun. And
yeah.
he's a good dude. He's a really good dude, and
He's
he can
literally my
go.
best friend, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was he was so proud of that match, man. And I just so when you go into a match with someone who has a style like Apollo, where it's more mat based and he kind of likes to keep it in the ring,
Hmm.
how much convincing does it take to get them to do what you do, or do you just kind of take over? And I mean, how does that work?
It's usually not too hard because I love, to be completely honest, if I had my druthers, I would be a mat-based guy, and I like grappling. I love catch. I've done some MMA back in probably about the same time frame.
Yeah,
Um, so I really like grappling. I was a high school wrestler, but whenever we can take what's in the ring and get it even closer to the fans, give them a taste of danger, like it makes it that much more real to them. So it's really not that hard to convince them, especially once they hear a pop of someone doing similar stuff.
sure. Cool.
Mhm.
And one
Mm.
more thing that I'm gonna there was a faction, right, that I believe started in war.
Yeah.
And then you guys took it like all over the freaking country.
Hmm.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because that was a really cool time. Like,
Yeah, with Crimson,
yeah, yeah. And then Jason
Crimson,
Gordon ended up
Gory.
joining up. Yeah,
We had Kaz Hayashi in there, I think, maybe. If I'm wrong, it was one of
hey,
the Michigan branch, but like
yeah.
we went all over the place. Crimson started it, and him and Gory were first, and then they incorporated me in, and we just went to town. Like we had fun times. We had Gangrel in there at one point.
Ooh.
It was fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
That
All
was a
right.
nice group of characters right there. I wanted to ask something though, because your resume is very star-studded, and you fought John Moxley, Nigel McGuinness, Christopher, the now retired Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles. You've been everywhere. What would you say was, and quite obviously, greats like the Juggulator? But
Yeah.
who would you say was the person that you enjoyed getting in there the most with and mixing it up?
Um, I wish I could do Moxley all over again because he's just electric.
Mhm.
Um, to be completely honest, that match I shouldn't have been in because I got hit head on that week and I was still kind of out of it. And he's like, "Oh, brother, don't worry about it. We'll be fine." And that's the first time I'd ever met the dude.
Mhm.
He was still working a 9 to 5. He came in, he had like a polo on, look all super just like depressed and down, and he was just, "Yeah, I'm here." Like over in the corner, I was like, "He's gonna go to sleep. He's gonna go to sleep before we get out there." I go out in the ring and I'm still like, I'm touch and go on this. I'm like, man, one bad bump and I'm gonna be done. All of a sudden his music hits. He's electric, and I'm like, oh crap,
Just
my
yeah,
got to turn the worker boots on. Yeah,
that's nice.
he
It's cool. It's funny because just seeing him in promos now, I kind of see the same thing. He's able to
it's
be a
it's
little
it's funny
chill and
because
then
I was backstage at IPW once, and this was when Moxley was their champ, and he
yeah,
was literally just sitting on the floor in the hallway,
yeah, just
like,
over in the corner,
Low,
not in the
legs
chair.
spread out,
low
just sitting in
key.
the hallway on the floor. I was like, all right,
Low
right on.
key.
It was
Like
it's pretty
I
nuts.
could be
Nice.
here. I
Yeah.
could take a nap. I could wrestle.
Yeah,
I don't care.
yep.
Yep.
And then he gets out there, and it's just like snap. It's crazy. Yeah.
one thing I also wanted to ask is that it seems like you're a fan of or an avid painter.
Yeah.
Seems like, and obviously when it comes to your in ring and your face paint and stuff like that. What do you feel like they're synonymous with each other? Art and wrestling, it is pretty much hand in hand. But which came first for you? Would you say?
Um, I'd say the art piece came first because I was heavily involved in art all the way growing up, and then actually I've got a graphic design bachelor's and master's, so it's just a part of my everyday life. But like the painting aspect of it, it's always been something that I got into. It's a really good release. But then once you get into wrestling and see how we piece everything together, it's like, oh, this is literally painting by numbers, like making everything work. It really is a true art form.
It's a beautiful thing, because people don't see it. Like I would say the same thing about when I used to be a boxer, is that boxing is it's very much artwork because all you see in the untrained eye is just, people swinging, but you don't
Yeah,
realize what goes into it. The fact that they had to position their body to get there, their footwork, their angles and stuff like that. It was just nice to see that, and obviously there's certain people like Jeff Hardy, he does his face paint. He still does, and he puts a lot of time and effort into that. But it's cool to see you have a master's in graphic design.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's a wonderful thing. And
It's
it's amazing that you got both of them to work together.
Yeah, and like my mom used to joke, she's like, "What are you gonna do with this degree? You're like busy wrestling doing this." I was like, "I'm gonna design some really cool merch."
Heck, there you go.
And
There you go.
that's a lot of the
Profit.
business,
Yeah,
and quite obviously you have some of the best, I would say some of the best looks when you're in the as far as like your outfits matching with your, you know, was the art, did it have to do with the kind of match you were in? Like what would be the around the thinking for the face paint? Like was it a certain like feeling that you got for the match, or was it just like how you felt during the at the time?
well, most of the time, like whenever I first developed like that visual that's currently what I do,
Mhm.
um, it came from me getting to be so weathered and just like I'm knowing that I'm gonna have to be vicious to stay over. So I'm like, I have to make my visual match my personality towards my fight or my match. But back in like when I first started, I always wanted to paint my face. Wanted to like Sting was a real hero. Actually, Muda was the big hero,
Mm.
and Vampiro. Um, like I loved watching Sting and Muda, but I watched him for Muda. Um, but to be completely honest, but like when I first started, I was doing a little bit of that. Had some Japanese like kanji that I would put on my head, and everyone's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing putting that on there." I was like, "Yeah, I do. This is cool." And then evolved, and I was like, I can't be looking the way I look and try to appropriate Japanese culture. It just doesn't work. So I can still appropriate their culture and work, as far as ring work, but I just had to get more into my visuals. Plus, I'm a big comic book nerd. I love the Joker. I love Venom. I just was like, let's put them back together.
I was wondering because I seen that, and I also saw that you did a portrait of the Joker. I believe
Yeah,
it was on Instagram. But I could tell that that connection between the Ravens version Sting
yeah,
and obviously Venom. I could definitely see with that picture on the right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, is there anything you want to plug as far as things that you're working on with business maybe, or are there certain?
I have my school that we've moved around a couple of different times. We've got a little home in Chesapeake, Ohio. It's called the Power Slam Academy. I got about 10 to 12 students, and they're knocking out the park. Um, you can visit powerslamacademy.com, and then anybody wants information, you can hit me up. I get more DMs on my regular social media on Instagram, on Facebook than I do there, but anybody can hit me up, talk about that.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Do you,
straight
do
up.
you have any students who've either graduated recently who are in the class that you're teaching right now who you think people should keep a lookout for?
Troy Parker, number one. Um, he's working in CZW on the
Yeah, Troy
regular.
Parker. Troy Parker's good. Yeah. So,
He's a
didn't mean to
beast.
interrupt you, but he's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm super proud that he came in ready to go. Like, I'm like, are you ready to do drills? He's like, yeah, I'm ready to do this. I think the first couple of days he got a busted nose. He's a tough dude. I love him to death. But like, he came in ready to go. He's a big student and a big proponent of strong style in New Japan, and he's got goals. He sets them, and then he keeps going. Um, Micah, Mika, she's a female worker. She came from
Okay.
us. She's amazing. She's got work ethic like nobody else.
I've seen her
Um,
too, man. I've seen some of your students and didn't even know. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And we got Tyler Rosfeld. He's making waves. He's starting to get out of our scene, which I encourage them. I'm like, please do not become a West Virginia wrestler. Be a professional wrestler. Um,
Yeah.
I hate when
Mhm.
people get stuck in one area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it is West Virginia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Speaking of
West
West
Virginia
Virginia,
has some pretty good wrestling going on down there. It seems like though Brett goes to a lot of shows and he's always telling us about it. It seems like some of the promoters down there bring in some pretty good names like Matthew Justice and Jake something and some
yeah.
guys like that. So
Matt and I go back for a bit too. Back when VOW was a thing up in Connellsville,
sure.
PA, we
Yeah.
connected up there. We become good friends. It's like a family reunion every time I see him. It's like, oh, so what's going on with? He's like, what's going on with all your 12 kids? I'm just like, ah, bro.
Yeah.
we
I'm
got
glad that
fans on fans.
Matt's getting to do some stuff in MLW, man, because he's been talented for a long time. And
Yeah,
MLW is one of the bigger indie promotions now, so hopefully people are getting to see him because he's been good for a long time. I remember the Iron Justice team that he was doing with Gregory Iron forever ago, and they were good back then. So
well, a
that's
lot of
cool.
people forget that he was in NXT. Like, he was
Yeah,
like Florida Championship, the whole deal, and
yeah,
just bounced out of there and just kept trucking.
yeah.
Which
Right
seems
on.
like it's the rubric of people that are talented. Like they don't just try to pigeonhole themselves into one thing. They get themselves around. And yeah, I've been seeing Matthew Justice a lot of different ones. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure he was at the MLW that last show, and then he was also I've seen him on a bunch of different cards lately. And
Yeah, I think
GCW
MLW
card.
didn't MLW just put him in a pretty big faction or something like
yeah.
that. I thought. Yeah,
He was talking a little bit about that the last
yeah.
time we were around. It was at a Pro Wrestling Conquest show. Um, and he's like, "Yeah, they're going to put me in a more prominent role." And I'm like, "Dude, you deserve it. Like,
Oh yeah.
he's been at it almost as long as I have."
Yeah, for sure.
Mm. Mm.
So,
Yeah.
I saw an interview earlier with one of Seth Rollins' students, and she was talking about how they had to do like a CrossFit class as
Yeah.
part of their training. Like, how important is the conditioning aspect of the training? Because I know some trainers don't emphasize that. They just emphasize teaching kids how to put the matches together and the moves and whatnot. Um, like, how much do you focus on the conditioning when you're training?
It's if it's not 50% of the class, it's 60 to 75%. Because if you can't go in that and have a full gas tank around the 15-minute mark, you're letting everybody down and yourself.
Mhm.
When I first broke in, I was trained by guys like you're talking about, really great people.
Yeah,
They didn't stress the fitness aspect of it. They were like, "Oh, if you want to be a body guy, you got to get on the gas." I'm like, not really. You can just work out. Work out, eat clean, which that's unheard of. But we like after I think it was 2007, Dave Marquez gave me an option to come out when I was part of the NWA. He said we could go out to San Bernardino. They'd set me up in their dojo and train there, and it completely shook everything. I was like, this is how it's done.
yeah,
So lucha training, squats out the rear end, like 120 jump squats, and they're like, oh, this is light compared to what we normally do at New Japan. Because it was like New Japan's like 500 squats to warm up before you get to your rolls, and it's just
Yep.
and everyone comes in. I love the tryouts because I love to blow people's mind. They're like, you want us to do what?
Pause.
50
Mhm.
push-ups, 50 these, 50 this. And they're like, and now what? And I'm like, now you do your rolls. And they're like, do my rolls? I'm dead.
Yeah,
yeah.
you have to die before you're really alive. That's what they. I
That's
was
right.
always told about the 500 squats to warm up, and they're like, if you can't do that, you can kind of forget about doing this beautiful
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
can't
was like,
remember what I saw, but I was there. There were some Japanese girls training, and they were doing that, like the 500 squat thing. I
Yeah.
was like,
It's legit.
everybody does it. Like
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild, man. Hey, David, you got any questions for Chance, brother? You haven't got a chance to say much.
hey. Oh, you've been wrestling as long as I've been down there live. When I looked up your profile, Jesus, I'm a young boy this thing.
yeah,
Wow.
99, I think you
Yeah.
started, yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
broke it in May of '99.
dang.
Man.
And you just wow, you same age as my friend. My friend the same age, same month,
Oh
same
yeah.
year. But yeah, so I'll say this: you from this last name, the city of my last name. What the heck is West? What the heck goes down there in my
Logan,
last name
yeah.
city?
Which one? Which one? Point Pleasant
His
or
last name is Logan.
My last name
Yeah,
is
oh my shoot hometown of Logan,
yeah,
West Virginia.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
where you're billed from.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what he was mentioning, yeah.
yeah.
It is crazy. Logan's nuts. I'm getting ready to go back there on the 8th for All Star Wrestling. Um,
Hmm, nice.
yeah, February 8th. It's a memorial show for our friend Nathan. It's like our we do a they do a big Royal Rumble style match, and
Okay.
they got I'm looking at the poster now. Got Buff Bagwell's going to be there making an appearance. Then we got
What's that?
tons of
Buff the stuff.
tons of guys. Vinny Pacifico is going to be there.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Okay.
Um, that Casey King guy, yeah,
That
he'll be
Casey
there.
King guy.
That Casey King guy,
Hey, Casey King is highly entertaining, squeaky clean.
he'll hug the mess out of you.
Yeah, well, it's so funny when he first started. Him and I were having a conversation about wrestling, and I was kind of like, man, sometimes wrestling makes me sad. Like, there's
Yeah,
some of the personalities in the business just they don't. As a promoter at the time, it's hard dealing with people who you can't tell what their intentions are sometimes.
yeah, and
And
it's
and then Casey was like, you're just surrounding yourself with the wrong people. I love wrestling. Wrestling's fun. And that's literally what he said. And I was like, okay,
yeah.
man. Right on. Yeah.
If I could,
I don't know.
That's him
That,
though,
yeah. And that was years ago. So I don't know if the attitude is still the same, but I hope it is, man.
pretty
I hope
much.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I could ask a question,
Yes, sir.
How did you get your mother to be okay with you wrestling?
I lied to her for the first 6 months. It's like, where are y'all going? Oh, we're just hanging out, driving 2 hours to Pikeville, Kentucky, to some dude's like garage. Like this guy, it was a wild story. We were doing backyard wrestling, and some guy saw he bought one of our videos off of our Angel Fire website.
Oh
If you know
man,
what Angel
That's a
Fire is.
reference.
yeah,
Oh my
Oh man.
God. God.
And he hits us up. I'll never forget the name. He said, "My name's John Redfields," and I'm like, oh. He said, I just sold my bike shop and bought a wrestling ring. I saw one of y'all's videos, and if y'all want to learn to be it, I'll let you train." I'm like, "Well, who's going to train us?" He said, "I figure y'all do it yourself." I'm like,
Oh man.
do it yourself.
He
That is
ended up hooking
awesome.
us up with a guy that was doing a little bit of work with HWA. It's all been weird. It's always like there's always some type of connection to Les Thatcher and HWA. But Brian Gilbert and a guy that's since passed, I can't remember his real name. But he was only in there for a minute. But he was one of the guys that first stressed fitness. He's like, "You got to be ready to go." And they just started showing us like, "Hey, you're going to break your neck. Please stop doing this. Stop this. Stop that." And eventually, one guy, my who's like my real mentor and trainer, Danny Nelson, no relation. Um,
Mhm.
Danny
he
Ray.
yeah, he saw me at a show, and we were in this weird three-way match where it was a three-way ladder match. There
Oh,
was nothing above the ring. It was just
What?
It was just a
I've
lap.
seen those before. There's so
promoter
yeah. What is the yeah?
promoter's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have this three-way ladder match." I said, "For what?" He's like, "Oh, just to see what y'all can do." And I'm like, "Okay."
So
So how
just
do you win?
it was a 4-way with a ladder in it.
Do you
So the
piss
ladder
him
was
off
the
Three-way,
top of the
fourth person.
ladder?
It was the
three.
ladder was the fourth person.
It won. It won. Um, like we're doing all this stuff, like doing all these crazy spots, and I hit a hip toss out of nowhere, and apparently that's what caught my guy's eye.
Okay.
And that we're after
Okay.
the match. One of my friends got knocked out in
Ooh.
the match. It was stupid. We get in the back, and I'm getting a drink, and he's like, "Hey, saw you out there." He said, "Oh my gosh, Danny Rick," because he's like a local guy that's he's done some good stuff. He was a referee for NWA. He
Yeah.
helped train Jamie Noble. Um, so he was like, "Good stuff out there." I said, "What part?" He said, I said, "When we did that one spot with the ladder in the corner." He's like, "No, your hip toss was really good." And I'm like, "Oh."
The
There you go,
old school. The
Hey,
old
He
man.
start.
school. Old
He
school
said,
you
"If
with.
you stop doing all that stupid stuff, I'll take you on the road." And I'm like, "Okay,
the
let's go."
essentials though,
Dude,
the essentials, the
The
simple things,
fundamentals.
the
Those are the
man.
fundamentals,
fundamentals.
fam. It's always the
Yep.
That's
fundamentals. Always
Dude,
gonna
that's
be
the
the core.
important thing.
when I
Yep.
used to scout wrestlers, man, don't rainbow your clothesline.
Yep.
Man.
Don't pick your opponent up off the mat like you're walking through the field with them, and
Yep.
and get in the ring and take it with authority. Like those are the freaking three things that I would look for.
Yep.
You know, if you didn't do one of those three things, or I mean, if you did one of those three things wrong, I wouldn't even consider booking you. You
Yeah.
know, as hard as that
It,
sounds, man. Like if you take the ring all timid, or if I mean, you know what I'm talking about. But like, there are wrestlers who are not trained properly who will take someone by the hand when they're picking them up off the mat, and it looks like they're going to go for a stroll together. Like, you know,
well, the biggest thing was Norman
man,
Smiley. Like I was at a tryout, and Norman Smiley, he's like, "You guys pick these guys up by the ears, like you're lifting them up
yeah,
like
man,
magic." He
yeah.
said, Do you know how much pressure it takes to rip off an ear?" He said,
the,
8 pounds. I'm like,
the guy
"Oh, never."
the guy who trained me used to say to crank their neck, bring them up like,
Yep.
Crank
but
them
either way, like you don't hold their hand. It looks
Right.
ridiculous. And people
Like,
still do it. And when I
oh,
see
come
people
on.
do it, when I see people do it, I lose it. It's so bad.
My big beef is when people are in the corner, they're getting ready to get shot off, and they hand their opponent their hand, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
Nah.
Any of that stuff in the
come on.
corner where they're clearly setting it up is so bad. Like,
Yeah,
but that's really bad. Just here, take this. So bad.
that's my pet
Take
peeve.
me
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Would you say
So-
that's one of the I was gonna say, would you
Oh
say
no, go
that's
ahead, man. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
would you say that's one of the things you really push to your students as far
Yeah.
as
I
D'Lo
tell them
sing.
straight up.
No, I was saying.
I tell
I
them
was
straight
like,
up. I was like, if it
taking
doesn't look like a fight, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
yeah, the authenticity. It's real. It's an important thing.
And that's one thing you do well, man, I must say. Like, your matches look like fights. That's very
I apologize a lot afterwards.
yeah.
Oh, I know you had to.
Hey, apologize later. You know what I'm
Always
saying?
ask for
Yeah.
forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what The Rock did when he hit Mankind in the head 7 times, unprotected. Who we?
Oh.
Speaking of, if we can mention this, I just want to talk about one specific topic that we had, and it would be cool if you were part of it. But have you heard much about the Dark Side of the Ring documentaries, their episodics? So they just
Yeah.
announced season 6.
I know Thunder Kitty's
For real?
pissed about the Daphne episode.
Oh yeah,
Ah,
that's
Yeah,
one.
Thunder
That's
Kitty feels like they're not going to treat her well.
she was
Which,
a
I mean,
sweetheart. They need to stop that.
Yeah. I have a friend who was really good friends with her and was so upset when she passed. He actually met her through horror and filmmaking and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's if they don't treat that the way that it should be treated, you know, I can see that going badly because people love Daphne. You know,
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
She became a friend way back, and like she would go out of her way to make you feel welcome. She always took care of everybody in the ring, and like she got that rough concussion, man, and
Yeah.
it just messed her up for good.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It's gonna mess with TNA too because it's gonna make them look like absolute jerks.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, if they use it to raise CTE awareness and that kind of thing, I mean, she did say that when she passed, she wanted them to study her brain to try to figure stuff out. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just hope they do it respectfully. You know, I hope they don't exploit it. I mean,
well, that was during
sometimes
her
that
live
show
stream.
definitely comes off. Sometimes that show definitely comes off exploitive. So
Yeah.
I would hope not. One thing that's interesting though is that one of Keith's favorite wrestlers of all time, actually, what he says his favorite wrestler, Hot Stuff, is going to be on it.
Eddie Gilbert is my favorite wrestler.
Oh,
of all
yeah?
time.
Yeah, Hot
Oh
Stuff
yeah, I
is going to
love
be
Eddie
on
Gilbert.
there.
That'll be interesting.
Mhm.
He did the first ever shoot interview.
Yeah.
Eddie Gilbert had such a crazy life, man. I mean, if you think about it, he was a golden boy, and then he got in that car accident. You know, they used it in Angle. Bob Backlund trained him, and you know, whatever, got him. And then he had to grow a beard to cover the scar, and he got self-conscious about that. He was self-conscious about being so small. One of the greatest minds, though, Tony Myers said that Eddie Gilbert just had journals and journals, and he would just walk around just thinking of angles and coming up with gimmicks and writing it all down, you know? And as much as everybody wants to talk about how Paul Heyman is a genius, and sure, Eddie Gilbert said, I want to bring the Southern style of booking to the North, and started ECW with Todd Gordon. You know, that was Eddie Gilbert, man. And him and Paulie, he'd known Paulie since Paulie was a kid, and Paulie was under his wing. So if it wasn't for Eddie Gilbert, maybe we don't get Paulie Dangerously.
Yeah.
And dude, my favorite match of all time, as far as psychology, is the match that he had with Buff Bagwell when he won the TV title from him without even pinning him, the global TV title.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was just such a good match. It's only like 11 minutes long. Like if you've got 11 minutes, look up Eddie Gilbert versus Handsome Stranger. It's on YouTube like 3 different times and watch that match. I don't even want to ruin it, but Raven's involved in it too. So anytime you get those two guys together, man, such a good match. And every time someone's like, what should I study? You know, and I'm like, this. I send them that. You know, I'm not sending them. It's just simple. It's
Yeah.
10 minutes. It's simple.
Mhm.
Heel baby face.
In in
Yeah,
that
it's
in that regard,
yeah.
Chance, do you have any matches in your head, in your big Rolodex of matches that you would say is the quintessential, like one that you feel as if is almost the ideal match as far as like psychology, as far as moves, as far as, pacing, all of that? Is there one that you tell your students, like if you're going to study something or somebody even, is there
I,
something that comes to mind?
not one single match, but always because they're like, I always get the complaints. I can't be a babyface. I can't do this. I was like, well, have you studied what a babyface is? So I point out like Ricky Morton,
Mhm.
um, old Shawn Michaels. Pretty much, he was carbon copy of the Rockers. Him and Marty,
Yeah.
or carbon copy of the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah.
And then I tell them to look for guys like I'm drawing a blank. As far as heels go, I like look for Gary Hart. And they're like, he's not a wrestler. I said exactly. He was a wrestler though. Like not
Mhm.
that great, but like as a manager, I'm like dastardly. And
Yeah.
then they're like, well, what about Flair? I was like, study Jackie Fargo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but like I like to give those off references because if you don't know why we do what we do and the ones that actually made it work, like you don't get it.
Yeah, nobody sold for sympathy better than Ricky Steamboat and
Yeah,
Ricky Morton and Ricky Steamboat both looked like they were gonna die
yeah,
every time, and the crowd would just be like, "Don't die!" It was so good. Like,
Oh, good
I think that
time.
a lot of that is missing from wrestling now.
yeah.
People are concentrating on moves and not concentrating on emotions. So
We just had this
Yeah.
discussion at training last
Oh,
night.
yeah.
nice.
It was like so. I told him I was like I can watch tennis, but unless someone's screaming when they're serving, I don't care. I
Right.
said if there's no
Right.
sign of effort or no audible, I'm
Passion,
not
yeah.
involved. Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, man.
So, Royal Rumble's coming up this weekend. I've never really understood why, but a lot of promoters like to counter program and
Yeah.
sort of, I guess, work the Rumble into their events. Do you have anything coming up this weekend for the Rumble or anything?
Um, so we've got the Nathan Rumble on the 8th, but as far as this weekend, I'm not doing anything on that. And
Right.
I just don't believe in it. I run shows sometimes too, and if I know that there's a pay-per-view, I'm like, why would they come see us when they can sit at home comfortably?
I mean, it's smart. Yeah, it's smart.
Hey,
I've seen promoters who run who run like they'll show the pay per view. Like you
Yeah,
buy a ticket to their show and you get to like see the pay per view after and stuff like that. Like they'll run early. Um,
yeah,
and I've never really I don't know if it works. One time I accidentally booked a show uh the same night as All In, and
yeah.
it was also the premiere weekend of the Avengers, one of the Avengers movies, maybe Endgame.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, six people showed up, like
Ugh,
legitimately. It was the worst crowd I've ever drawn. And it was like a freaking snowstorm too. So like
yeah.
I was done. Like there was no way anyone was coming to my show. but
that's a triple way.
I can say that everybody went out there and did their best, and that's. But I
Mhm.
booked my shows way ahead of time. All In just kind of popped up out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So
It's
it was
so
All In
weird
and the
when you got all
Avengers.
that money, you can do whatever you want to do. It's just like, we're gonna pop a pay-per-view up now.
Yeah, yeah. And it was like the biggest indie show of all time.
Yeah,
Freaking no one was, and it was in Chicago. Chicago's 3 hours away from me. No one was freaking coming to Connorsville, Indiana to watch an indie show. Like this
no.
was not happening.
Oh, my
They're like,
Yeah.
if I'm getting on the road, I'm going to Chicago. Yeah,
Right.
it's rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
God.
Hey, it happens, man. No biggie. Still had a good show. So
So if I could preface it, it's the Nathan Rumble is on All Star Wrestling. It's the event is it called My Bloody Valentine? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, my bloody
Okay.
Valentine. I think this is their second one that they've done on
Mhm.
towards Valentine's Day. But they always incorporate. Nathan was a huge fan, but he was also one of the commentators there. Really good personality. I'd known him since he was a kid. He loved to be a part of wrestling. Really good friend of Casey King's too, but like just tragic. Like
Yeah.
literally, we're at an event for ASW, talking to him, catching up, starts talking about how he just feels weird, like kind of nauseous, and
Mhm.
then passes away in his sleep of a massive heart attack. And
Man.
like in his 30s.
It's
That's
Yeah.
hard.
I remember a very good friend of mine that I actually used to teach at the boxing gym that we ended up naming an award after him. The guy was such a good, good-hearted person, but he came in and he was very, but I also remember I still have that text message saved. He's like, "Oh, I don't feel I've never felt this bad, but I have already taken so many sick days that I can't like afford to miss work," and then just never woke up.
Man.
Okay, and
Man,
this is gonna be in Logan, West Virginia. Yes.
yeah,
My
Yeah.
last name.
So everybody that's listening, please, if you can check it out and give love to our fallen members of our community, of our
yeah.
growing
Rest in peace,
growing and
folks.
ever growing wrestling community.
Yes, sir.
Mm.
We
So
I got one last question for you, Chance. If
Yes, sir.
Triple H gave you the call, was like, "Hey, Chance, we would like for you to be in the Rumble," said, how would you feel about that? What would you say?
How quick can I catch a flight? Let's go.
yeah, yeah. Hey, speaking of that, I'm sure you know Flash
Yeah.
Flanagan.
Yeah, I
He
know. I saw that.
Yeah, he was campaigning ever since they announced it to be in the Rumble. He even did some backstage
Yeah.
stuff, and it's looking now like he's not going to be, unfortunately. But I'm
That
hoping he's
sucks.
working. I mean, the dude is, as far as modern times go, man, he's the Indiana guy. You know?
Dude, Flash was so hot back in like OVW early OVW
Oh
days.
man, he wrestled everybody. Yeah,
Ah, uh, and he could go like
yeah,
he could go before it was popular. And I'm just like, this big dude's doing all of this, and I thought for sure he'd get the call up. I
yeah.
thought for sure he'd get the call up.
Like I said, I hope he's working and he's actually going to be in the Rumble. If he's not, it's
Mhm.
they missed it. They missed an opportunity, dude. That pop,
Yeah,
man. You know, when Flash is like, he was a doctor, I think, on one episode of Raw, and freaking, it
yep.
was all over the place. People were like, people in Indiana, wrestling fans in Indiana love Flash Flanagan. I don't think people really understand. I mean, because
Huge.
dude,
He's huge.
yeah. Even when he, was living in Puerto Rico and whatnot, he would still come back to Indiana and wrestle every once in a while. He has, it's
Yeah.
where he lives. So like he's always been a hometown, home state guy, and people freaking love him here. So I'm hoping he shows up. But like I said, if
I'm
he
hoping
doesn't,
so
it's a
too.
missed opportunity. He's still in great shape. Dude's 50, in great shape. Like, I don't know. And he probably, I mean, I know he hasn't taken many bookings lately, so
Hmm.
I don't know. To me, it would have just made sense for them to
Yeah,
do it.
it'd been a good getting that type of, even if it's just a little bit, like,
Yeah.
and it just solidifies like all. That's the big thing about it. Even if like say how we was talking about, if I get that call and it's like, hey, show
Yeah.
up, like it just caps it. It's like, okay, I've been there, done that, and they finally honored me on that. That's like that would be it.
Yeah.
Like,
100%, man.
okay, I can ride off into the sunset and just ease off, which
Yeah.
I'm never going to retire because I already know what happens when
Mm.
everybody retires. 2 weeks later, they're buying new boots, got new gear,
Yeah. Yeah.
got that itch,
The amount
brother.
of people who have, I,
Okay,
I,
okay.
I've known people who have retired from like, so Drew Skills got a torn ACL.
Yep,
It was ripped out basically. Like it was so bad that they had to
Mm.
replace it with a dead guy's ACL.
that's
Like it
what I
was
got
gone.
too.
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah,
see, and he
in that
retired.
club.
He retired, and
Jeez.
I think he was back in less than 2 years.
Yeah,
You know, I mean,
that
it's
when
just
they did that for I ended up for the first 17 years of my career, I didn't know it because I got diagnosed with a torn meniscus out of high school wrestling. They're
Mm,
like, you should be good, rehab it, da 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 da. Well, come to find out, like when I'm 39 years old, because my knee keeps going out, and I'm like, I've had it checked out, and no one said anything. They did an MRI. They're like, oh, you don't have an MCL or an AC, or no, I had the MCL, ACL, and PCL non-existent. And I'm like,
man,
for what? They're like, yeah,
Non-existent. Oh,
yeah.
non-existent. You've got the consistency of oatmeal in your knee. And I'm
what?
like, what?
So your
He's like,
kneecap
yeah,
just kind of
Ugh.
wow,
Jeez.
man. I mean, I've known guys and girls who have uh had torn ACLs, torn MCLs, whatever, and they just throw on braces.
yeah,
Dude,
that's all
Victoria
I
did
did
that.
too.
Yeah, Victoria
Yeah,
wore a brace before and she was on TV. She wore a brace until she could get surgery.
yeah,
She didn't want to take time off. Uh,
same.
it's wild, man. Like I guess
Because you
when you're
take
in there,
time off, everybody passes you up.
yeah, they forget about you. Yeah, yeah.
I have a very obscure question. Why weren't you the one tied up in the back with John Moxley instead of Ricky Morton and with the Rock and Roll Express were tied up in the back of the AEW. Did they
Yeah,
not call you up to do something with
the
you?
nope.
No?
The one opportunity I had to work with AEW was back in March of, let me
Ooh.
think, it was 2 years ago. Yeah, because I was going with my son. We were taking a trip over to Israel, and they called and said, "Hey, we've got a tryout on this date." And I'm like, "I'm going to be in Israel."
Mm,
That's not what they wanted to hear either. I'm like, it's
yeah,
a mission trip. I can't, and it's time with my son. I really can't pass this up. He's only going to be this age this time, like one time. So they said, "Oh,
yeah.
it's okay. We'll catch back up with you." I haven't got an email since. So
Man.
Damn.
Nice to
yeah,
hear
So
just
about the missions trip. Nice to hear.
yeah, so I
yeah,
know
It's
we're
important.
hitting 1:30. We've been talking for about 45 minutes. We got the regular program stuff to do, but every single time something gets brought up, it makes me think of another question because man, you've been around for so long and so much. But you talked about the AEW thing. Didn't you do a TNA a gut check too at one point?
yeah. And man, I was right up there in the top. And then
Yeah,
over like the course of 3 hours, like some ungodly amount of votes came in. And I'm like, okay.
yeah, that's what happens, man. I thought you were one of those guys. I remember you and Facade being
Yep,
in there for
neck and
people to
neck.
vote for. Yeah, yeah. And I don't
And
think
we were
either one of
helping
you
each
guys ended
other
up
out.
winning, right? I don't think either
Uh-uh,
one
it
of you guys ended
was
up winning.
it was the
Damn.
guy that just passed away, John Bone or what was it?
Mm.
Bad Bones.
Oh, bad
Oh,
one.
sure, Mads
Romeo.
Kruger. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
But
Oh man.
but
Well, I mean,
Oh,
hey,
man.
if you're gonna lose to somebody,
yeah,
he's pretty darn good. But
good
yeah,
dude.
I remember you and Facade were like, one of them is gonna win, and then all of a sudden, neither one of you guys won. I was like,
Yeah. It's
what
like, what the
happened?
heck?
Yeah, yeah. Um, and so you mentioned going on a mission with your son.
Mhm.
I know that I think okay, so we were friends on Facebook for years. And
Uh-huh.
then somehow we stopped being friends on Facebook. I think your Facebook was deactivated for a little while or something a while ago. Like a
Yeah.
long time ago, and that's how we ended up not being friends. But um I know from your Facebook posts and things like that your religion is pretty important to you.
Yes, sir.
Um so how do you reconcile that with the Chance Prophet character, with the pro wrestling world, with the entertainment world in general? Like how does all that fit together?
Yeah, with the Christians.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
fun. Like when
Nice.
I like completely when I first started, I had deacon board. The deacon board took me off to the side of the church I was raised in. It's like, so we hear you're going to be a wrestler. We don't think that's good. We don't think that's a good representation of the church. I said, where did Jesus go? I'm like, I'm going to be out where people are that won't go to church are going to be there.
Yeah.
And it's always gone hand in hand. Like people have needs, and half
Oh,
the time it happens when I'm at the merch table. People will come up and I'm like, "Oh, you want to buy something?" Like, "No, I want to talk to you about prayer. I need prayer on this." And I'm like, "Okay, let's go." So
That's awesome,
That's
man.
nice to hear.
Yeah, that's killer.
But
Yeah.
when it comes to the visual and then that's when I'm like, okay, that's when you know faith is bigger than who you are and God is bigger than who you are, because for him to work with me looking the way I look
Yeah.
and doing the things that I do, and people are just like, okay, curtain down, I gotta handle this need. Can you help me? And then I
Yeah.
like seeing the puzzled look from the people that were just booing me and cussing me out to see me sitting there praying for somebody. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm sorry.
That's awesome. Yeah.
The dark child is a child of God.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's a beautiful thing, though.
It's
Yes,
awesome.
sir. And my pastor that I'm under, I'm a pastor too. At our church, I pastor like the 25s through 40-year-olds. But our senior pastor, he's like, for some reason, he thinks I'm a luchador. He says, "Chance, Joey wears a really awesome mask to the ring." I'm like, "It's paint, but okay." But
That's take that as a compliment.
I
Yeah,
do
hey.
like, and he puts it over more than anybody else. And he's like,
That's
"Joey's
awesome.
a wrestler. Joey's does this. That's
Man.
Chance Profit." I'm like, "Yeah, keep saying it. Keep saying it. Get me a."
Get some people out there, yeah.
See some merch in the church.
Yeah.
It
Speaking
happens.
of lucha, I saw Penta work right on Raw, and I was like, "Has that ever happened before?" I was
Oh my
like,
gosh,
man.
it's beautiful.
I was like, "Whoa, what is going on?" Like, yeah,
Dusty Rhodes is somewhere up in heaven going, "See, baby, we can do anything. We can do anything as long as the camera's rolling."
yeah. I talked about it on the podcast. I was like, "Man, did you?" He was switching back and forth. He was working both sides. I was like, "Man, that's
Yeah,
that's something."
I had
I
my
went
first match for CMLL this year too, which was weird.
nice.
So I went down there and I'm like, y'all are working on the left. Y'all are lying to everybody up in the north.
Maybe they were just doing it for you.
Well, they were like, no, we're trying to get stateside. We want to work. We want to work
Yeah.
on stateside.
Also, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I had seen something about your. You already mentioned her, but how do you pronounce it? Micah or Mika?
Yeah, Micah. Yeah,
She
Micah.
worked last year in CMLL, didn't she?
Yeah. She was in
Yeah,
like a
she's making it around, man.
six woman
Yeah.
with Tessa Blanchard. Tessa just got called up,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
which there's stuff going around right now about Tessa about saying she was screaming at girls in the back. Tessa's like, I've known her since she was a kid. I know what's
Yeah.
going on out there. I know the backstory, but Tessa's loved down there. Tessa's
Yeah.
absolutely loved. She's a baby doll.
Okay.
And I know who the stuff came out with, and it shocked me because I know both of them. I used to work with La Rosa down in Florida. I never would have thought they would have butted heads at all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just crazy.
It happens.
Math
Yeah.
is mathing up.
It's a heat magnet.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see what
Sometimes
happens with TNA
personalities
now.
don't.
I think
Don't mess.
she's going to be on top again in TNA, and Jordan Grace is. I already called it. I don't know if you want to make a prediction, but I called Jordan Grace winning the Royal Rumble as soon as I saw her walk into TNA that NXT that one day.
Yeah,
The
you
fact
did. You
that
said it a long
she's
time ago.
signed right now, like
Yeah.
she better get like top 5.
Pushed
I
to
know
the
she's
moon.
trying to. According to rumors on the internet, is she's pushing for a Worlds Collide pay-per-view.
And she wants an Ultimate X in WrestleMania. She said as
Yeah.
well.
So that'd be
awesome.
That'd be huge.
Possibility.
Yeah, that whole
Ultimate
thing would be
and-
fun, man.
Ultimate X meshed with Money in the Bank.
Yeah, definitely. Didn't
Oh,
Ultimate X start in Puerto Rico? I feel like IWA started the Ultimate X. They didn't call it that, obviously, but yeah. It's funny how it's like a TNA signature match, and then IWA actually started it. Like wrestling, man, the ideas always come from places you never even think of. You know.
That's it. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention we just got the text, but Brent the Nightmare Ward says that he's sorry that he couldn't be there, and he wanted to say hello to you, Chance, and that he's sorry
He's out roofing in the rain. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
He's
that's
all bad.
horrible.
Yeah, man. That's why he couldn't be on the show. So
doing
that was the guy who initially got a hold of you. Yeah.
That's absolutely horrible. Bless you, dude.
For sure.
Shit.
All right. So you guys wanna wrap the interview up real quick? Just Chance, if there's anything you want to talk about before we hop off with you.
Yes. Support your local indies, support pro wrestling. Anytime you can get a chance to go to an indie before you go to a corporate, go to an indie because you never know who's going to pop up. I mean, that background right there, Joe Hendry. Look at him. Look at him. Say his name,
WCBW
then he
legend.
appears.
That's my prediction. I
Progress.
think Joe Hendry's winning the Rumble. I'm probably the only person in the country who does, but
If it ain't him, it's going to be.
yeah, but I think they're gonna stretch the John Cena stuff out. I think he's gonna might win Money in the Bank, might win Elimination Chamber, but I don't think he's winning the Rumble.
What I think is that, first of all, I have to mention Chance that
Chance Profits getting in on our Royal Rumble predictions.
Keith's gimmick is that he's always wrong.
Yeah.
Especially
It's not
for
really my
pay-per-views.
gimmick, man.
It is your gimmick, Keith.
It's
So-
not.
I'm sorry to say, no current TNA champion. I believe that Joe Hendry is going to throw out John Cena, though.
Well, did you see what Joe Hendry just said though a couple days ago?
Yeah.
He's been in the Royal Rumble twice, but back then he was just a wrestler. Now he's the TNA champion, and he will only be in the Royal Rumble if he's doing something that serves TNA, like winning it.
Or
Like,
like going, or like being number 2 and having the biggest pop in Royal Rumble history.
Yeah,
Aside from,
yeah.
aside from maybe
Cena.
the surprise from
Sure.
AJ Styles or that one year John Cena came
Yeah.
out 30.
Or
Yeah.
And then Cena's going to jump over to TNA, take the world title, bring it back.
Oh man,
Oh, God.
And then it's all circling back to him
That'd be
against
wild.
Nick Nemeth. Him
Yeah.
against Nick
AJ
Nemeth.
overcomes the foot injury, takes it from Cena. They have a crazy rivalry, and then
man.
Shinsuke wins it all.
There you go.
One-legged
All right.
AJ Styles.
Shinsuke on top, baby. Who would have predicted that?
Maybe me 4 years ago, but
I'm glad Cora Jade is actually winning some matches.
Corey.
Not in the
Yeah.
WWE, but you know, she's
Good.
yeah.
I like her going
Yeah.
against Masha.
I remember her on the Indies because she's from Chicago and she worked as or the Chicago area. She wrestled in Chicago a lot as Elena Black, I think was her name.
Yes.
And I remember seeing her and I was like, man, this girl is special. Like back then, you know. So obviously
That's
I wasn't
like-
the only person who thought so.
Like
Yeah.
another Chicago girl, Sky Blue. We booked her
Yeah,
like
oh,
right
Sky-
before she
Dude.
blew up. My lord.
Yeah.
She's
Man.
talented,
She
sweet.
blew up
like,
alive.
she
Yeah.
blew up big.
Yeah. I saw Sky Blue on was it Chicago Style that she was working at a lot, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw her down there quite a few times, and I was just like, man, yeah, this girl, she's just, you could tell when some people connect with the fans. I think that's the
Yep.
biggest thing. She connected with the fans, man, and she's been doing it since she was like 17. She started a little early, so, you know,
Yeah.
good for her, man.
Well, I was
Hopefully
booking
she
at
comes back
IWA
to it.
East Coast and was like, I said, I reached out. I didn't want to seem like a creepy, like 40-year-old. Hey, what's going on? But I said, hey, I would like to put you in a match that you probably wouldn't get anywhere else. So I said, how would you like to work with Mickey Knuckles?
Oh, nice.
And it was so like polar opposites. It worked so
Yeah.
well.
That's
And then-
awesome.
She just started picking up. I'm like, man, it's
I
good to see good
remember,
people get it.
Yeah, I remember talking to Apollo about her,
Mhm.
and I was still running at the time, and I was talking about bringing her in, and he was like, "Man, you're gonna throw $1 million at this girl, aren't you?" And I was like, "No," I was like, "But I mean, something's gonna happen." I was like, "Something's gonna happen, dude," and I think we should use her. I always talk to Q because he's known, you know, he's been around forever. So, and then I think it was like it was not very much shorter after that she started getting featured on AEW and then she got the contract. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, you could tell like it was just pretty obvious that something was going to happen with her, especially
Mhm.
towards the end, right before she got in there. But yeah,
This was a great. It was a great
This was fun.
conversation.
yeah,
Definitely
fun.
appreciate you having you join us and
Yeah, you're the
grace
first
us.
guest we've had on this podcast. So
For real?
yeah, first guest
Not
from in the
on
wrestling business anyway. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, this was awesome, man. It's usually just us blabbering about what we think is going to happen and our opinions on stuff.
And you can tell we
yeah.
blab. You can tell we
Oh,
blab.
That's what we do.
I fit right in. I fit right in. I get in trouble a lot.
Yeah.
First in, last one out. Not because I'm on the main event, but because I'm
Oh,
talking to
brother.
everybody.
That's the
Dude,
beautiful
yeah.
thing about it, man.
Some of the guys on my roster I got to be pretty good friends with, man. And we would literally sit around till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, just hanging out in the locker room and talking, especially when I had my own building and we didn't have to leave, you know?
Oh yeah.
Man, and wives, dude. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Are you coming home?
Yeah. Yeah. One of
With that.
my best friends, his wife would do his merch. And you know, she'd be like, I don't want you taking bookings from Keith anymore. You were there forever. It's just like happens, man. Get to talking, especially about wrestling or anything you really care about, you know. And it's,
Yeah.
We can
You're
definitely tell
passionate
the
about it.
passion. We can definitely
Yeah.
tell the passion on your end too, and we appreciate it.
for sure.
Sure.
All right, Chance. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on. Like Chance said, everybody get out there and support your local indies. If you see Chance Profit on a flyer, definitely head out.
Yeah,
For
come
sure.
see
You'll
me.
get your money's worth, man. But have a good one, brother.
You too, guys.
Appreciate you.
All right. Take care, man. Thank you.
God bless.
Adios.
God bless.
God bless.
Much love.
That was a wonderful.
Awesome.
That was a wonderful talk. I would say.
That was
was
fun,
good.
man. I do kind of feel like he could have fit in on the show. He could have just hopped on and we could have just, you know,
Well, that's the one
wrestling
thing
and-
about it. That's the one thing that's cool about the wrestling community is that, you know, like we're all intertwined in a lot of ways. Like, you know, somebody that he wrestled
Yeah.
hundreds of times, you know,
Yeah.
like that was one of the,
Son of a
it's really cool. And that's why, again, that's why you support indies, not only for
Oh,
the
nice,
WB ID and
nice
stuff like
questions, by the way, dude. I think that, like you coming at it, we came at it from two completely different sides, and
Yeah.
dude, you asked some stuff I never would have thought of, dude. That was freaking awesome. So
I
Very
did
cool,
my
man.
due diligence as far as
Yeah.
figuring. I also do remember him as far
Yeah.
as like being a wrestler. I will talk about a few other things that I thought were pretty cool, and then we can talk about our Royal Rumble. We can make the last bit our Royal Rumble
Yeah.
talk.
Works for me, man.
But let me mention a few things that I found that was interesting for the news. Is I know we don't talk about the video games much, but it's a big thing. 2K25 has a new feature, and they have a bunch of new things. But this is one thing that I wanted to talk about because of our past episode. Intergender matches is back.
What?
that?
Which they haven't done in years. Like literally since like the early 2000s, they haven't even touched it. Like literally, if you were to be Randy Orton and like hit Nia Jackson by accident,
You
DQ.
get disqualified, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Or it was like an automatic tag. But now you can actually do intergender matches, which makes me wonder, are we getting that in real life? Because to implement it in a video game, you know, granted, it's
It'll
just a
make
video
people
game,
want it.
but-
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You know?
Who
One other
on the
thing-
roster right now?
There's not a lot of roster. Dude.
I see. I've always seen Charlotte as being one of the ones that could wrestle a guy. Rhea,
Only Charlotte,
Rhea, Nia,
maybe Raquel, and that's maybe
Maybe
and Rhea,
Raquel.
and Rhea, of course, and Rhea. That's
But it's-
mainly it.
The thing is, though, it's less about body type and it's more about like
Right.
workability.
Heidi Lovelace.
Mhm.
Heidi Lovelace. Ruby Riot. Ruby Soho.
Yeah.
Wrestled men on the indies all the time.
I can see
Zarya
that.
did.
All the time. Dude.
I can definitely see that.
Piper,
definitely try that.
Chelsea Green.
Yeah,
Right.
Chelsea.
They could all do it. You know, obviously, you know,
Chelsea.
everybody's talking about Io Sky and Chelsea
And
having
Io.
fought Penta and the fact
And
that
Kyrie. And Kyrie too.
Kyrie is also she was also in New Japan. Not New Japan, but she was in Lucha Underground. She was in Lucha Underground also, yeah.
We just got a message from Chance Profit says, "Thank you guys. That was fun."
Thank you.
Nada.
was
You're
great.
welcome.
It's
It was
great to
great to
talk.
have you.
I would like to also mention, yes, there is a 100% a deal, multi-year deal with Jordan Grace with WWE, which tells me
Yeah.
it's almost
Okay.
obvious. Also, on that note, Triple H, who headed this deal,
Pause.
he was announced. That's a crazy statement. He was announced with you know, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker came out to tell him that he was going to be a 2-time Hall of Fame inductee because he was inducted with DX. I also thought
Right.
he was inducted with Evolution, but I guess I was wrong about that.
Oh, I don't think Evolution's gone in,
He's
man.
not in yet. He's not in.
I
Yet.
imagine when Randy Orton is gone because he's the
Mhm.
only one that's current. But yeah,
Right.
those four definitely. But
Oh
Triple
man,
H
so
is
Ric
soon
Flair's
to be
getting
a
another
two-time.
Hall of Fame speech.
Yep, he's gonna have to give another one, and then he's gonna have Quavo out there selling his
All
weed for
right.
him. So Triple H, congratulations, Paul Levesque, Hunter
Yeah, man.
Helmsley.
all of those terrorizing, they're going to be in the Hall of Fame. So congratulations.
Jean Paul Levesque.
Yes, that's funny.
He said, he said, man, how am I supposed to do this? I don't speak French. Ric Flair said, you ever seen the Pink Panther movies? Talk like Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah,
That was his
Oh my
advice to
God.
freaking to Triple H.
I would like to
When they
buy
made him French.
hamburger.
Yeah, when they made him
like
French. Hamburger.
I would like to buy hamburger.
Hamburger.
Speaking of food, so this is something that I like. I like the fact that wrestlers now are branching out to different media. Like I saw CM Punk, Chick Magnet Punk on
Hey,
that
we all
sneaker
wanted to
shopping
be.
thing. That sneaker shopping thing I see.
Oh, Complex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
It's
fun watching that.
A
Yeah.
few days ago, actually, I think like two days ago, I was watching and Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus on Hot Ones happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they did it like
Yeah.
an entire production. Like they actually
Yeah.
made it seem like a wrestling production. And I really like the way they did it. So check that out if anybody gets the chance on YouTube, which everybody has the chance to watch something on YouTube. Check out Drew and Sheamus on there. They show their camaraderie, how they've been friends for a long time, and like they get to a lot of good talks and obviously some rivalry and
Yeah.
some toxic
Sean Evans and
masculinity
Craig
and stuff.
Ferguson are my role models for interviews. I'm not a crazy pervert like Craig Ferguson, but I like how he makes people really comfortable. He makes people super comfortable to the point where they're willing to like say damn near anything. They don't ever talk about their projects. They just talk about like, whatever Craig Ferguson leads them into. So
unlike
I love
DJ
that.
Academics, who makes people uncomfortable.
That's never good. Never good.
Nah.
One thing also
Never
about I will mention something that's uncomfortable. Jake something
good.
hurt himself and had to vacate. He had to vacate the PW Revolver title because of it.
Yeah.
Well,
That sucks.
We wish him a speedy recovery, as well as Apollo Crews.
So is Hammerstone hurt now too? So Hammerstone and Jake something are both hurt?
Hammer something, I believe, yeah, I don't know.
So we can't hammer.
No hammer something, man.
They're not hammering anything.
That's
this is a bad time for that to happen too. They are WWE guys.
right.
You look at the two of them, man. Dang.
I thought that they would have fought Fraxium.
Yeah.
I thought that they'd have a really interesting. They'd have a really good match with those two.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to mention, did anybody see the Death Riders YouTube vignette sort of promo?
The white tees. They wasn't all in uniform, fan.
Dude, it's crazy because so ever since Raw came on Netflix and NXT has been on CW, I have not missed a show. Like I faithfully watch those shows. And I was excited for AEW to be on Max because I was like, now I'll be able to check it out all the time. I've maybe watched half. Like it's just I'm just not motivated to watch
Dynamite was poor. To say the least, it was poor.
Not, motivated.
They had
a
good collision. Take it out.
But the Moxley, the Death Riders thing, I actually thought it was well done. Renee was the interviewer, and she obviously addressed like in the beginning.
Was that the thing with Pac?
Yeah, where Pac was in like a sweating in the corner.
Acting like he was shooting.
What I thought, this is the thing I thought that the way John Moxley, it sounded like he was like sending subliminal shots. At first, it sounded like he was talking to Renee about their marriage at first.
Hey,
he was like, I put just shut up, enjoy the ride and all of that. And he was talking about, but then I felt like he was giving shots to AEW while he was putting over AEW. It felt weird. And then
Sports Keto, which is the most reliable news source on the internet.
Sarcasm.
reported that Pac wasn't happy with AEW and that he never was and that he never wanted to be there. And then they said that he said it on a podcast with Renee. And I was like, dude, come on. He's obviously working. Like, come on, man. Stupid.
They're buying too much.
Sportskeeda, it sucks. Don't sue us.
They work themselves into a shoot.
Sportskeeda.
Why she gonna shoot at us after that? It's gonna be key.
And anything that Sportskeeda writes themselves, dismiss it. Just dismiss it. If they're sharing stuff from like Frightful or WrestleZone or whatever, cool. But if they're writing that crap, it's probably not true.
And remember, not everybody is a obviously we're good minds because you can tell we're knowledgeable, but like not everybody that has a platform knows what the heck they're talking about.
Very true. Plus, we for the most part give our opinions, which we preface as an opinion. You know, I'm not out here saying, according to sources, and the sources are me, Joe Hendry's going to win the Royal Rumble. You know what I mean? Like,
via Roundtable Wrestling.
Yeah, via Roundtable Wrestling, Joe Hendry is going to win the Royal Rumble. Yeah, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So,
what else we got going on, fellas?
Well, it's an interesting thing because I want to get into the Royal Rumble, and I feel like getting into the Royal Rumble will take up. There's a lot of news or news.
There's always so much news.
However, because we had our talk with Chance and I felt like that took precedence, I feel like we can push back what we're talking about.
I'm good, man. Unless there's nothing like super major, right? I mean, we talked about the
injury.
There's
a few things like Raw losing almost,
Yeah, that sucks because it keeps getting better.
Like $750,000 like fans.
Every week has been consistently better, so that's weird. I don't know why people aren't watching it.
Well, that's the thing, because I already knew, and I talked about it when it happened. They just wanted to preface it. It was like a pilot, the Netflix first episode.
Yeah. And they pumped it up like a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? And maybe that was a mistake. Like maybe because now people are like, well, we watched it, but it's weird.
Otherwise, we did mention we did mention a decent amount of stuff, but I would like to speak about what we think is going to happen for the Rumble because, like we said, it's the day before, and it is one of the big four. It is probably number 2, if we're being honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a one-dayer, which I didn't know, I didn't remember. It's a one-day thing, and I kind of wish it wasn't on Saturday because I work 3 different jobs that same day.
Jesus.
Because I'm keeping busy, but Lord knows I am going to be exhausted.
Chuck Todd. Does anybody know who Chuck Todd is?
Chuck Todd.
Beware
the man with 2 first names.
Oh, he's a Meet the Press moderator, and he's leaving PBS or something like that. Who cares? Maybe. Yeah.
I remember him. Yeah. TV host.
It just repeatedly popped up in my notifications, so I was like, all right, let me see what's going on with this guy.
I wonder if it has to do with politics. Otherwise, I'm not keeping up with I'm trying not to keep up too much with the reigning, defending 2-time commander-in-chief. But it's I can't get away from it. I'm currently dating somebody who is has to do with finance funding for homeless shelters, and
she's probably pissed.
Oh, she's been stressed to the gills because of this. She's like, oh, they dropped this, and I was like, oh, in DC, Lauren El Ali Khan is trying to put a hold on it, but like people are calling her nonstop. It's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I shipped her and something like that. I was like, so I would like to say before we get to the Royal Rumble that I hope everybody is doing well and keeping together. And I know it's a difficult time, but I think that's also what the importance of wrestling and other sports and music and all that things. Hard times make for
better times. Make for better times, baby.
I loved Chance Prophet's his Dusty Rhodes impression was good, man.
Oh man,
that was a good
we can do anything, baby. That was awesome. Baby. Yeah, and speaking of politics and music and things of that nature, before we came on, I was listening to Flowbots.
Mhm.
For people who only know Flowbots from Handlebars, listen to more of their stuff, man.
Oh, they're good, yeah.
It's so good, so political, but really interesting, like well put together songs that get in there and stick in your brain. But pay attention to the lyrics too, man. Those guys should have been bigger. Like
Mhm.
they're way more than that one freaking song. And that one song is very good. Very well put together, very good song. But
I can ride my
man,
bike with no
yeah,
handlebars.
man.
Yeah.
No, man. And
So,
the thing is what that song is about. It's about how human creativity can eventually lead to destruction if it's
yes.
depending on how it's harnessed. Because at the end the guy creates an atomic bomb and
Hmm.
kills everyone. So yeah.
It's the hands of humans.
Yeah.
I would also like to say that I in between my two shifts yesterday, I did a 3 hour performance
Great.
in music. Me and this his name is Terrell X now. He just changed his name, but he used to go by Carnage the Executioner, and he's pretty well
Hmm.
known in Minneapolis. He's phenomenal beatboxer. Like it's absurd how good he is.
Yeah.
And we had like an open jam. Like I brought my hang drum, my steel drum, and he was doing his, what he does with the beatbox to make music and all of that, and we were collabing,
That's
and we
good.
were at the museum, the Walker Museum, and people were walking through and watching us. And I know a lot of people don't know what the hang drum is, so they see me and they're like, what is this, like, melodic? It sounds like bells, but it's like me
Yeah.
playing. And I'm a very good drummer. I'm
Nice.
specifically that drum. I feel like I'm going to be a master at it one day. But it
Nice.
was nice, and yes, we appreciate art here. And the fact that he was an artist, it
Yeah.
shows like that creative bug. It's not just unilateral. It's
Yeah, for sure.
multifaceted. And would you expect a wrestler to have a master's degree in
Um,
graphic
I
design?
mean, Raven is a Mensa member,
Exactly, but that's the thing. People
you
don't
know?
realize. People don't assume.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just think, oh, you're just a meathead that just takes steroids and like
It's
transitions.
really
They
funny
don't.
because when Georgie Animal Steel, people would be like, Georgie Animal Steel's a professor in college. Georgie Animal Steel was actually a gym teacher. But it's
Yeah.
funny how that grows. You know what I mean? Because people were like, oh, that guy who plays the crazy dude in wrestling, he's a college professor, but he was actually a gym teacher. But still,
That's
education.
like
You know what I
The
mean?
the only other person that has
easy.
more chest hair than I do.
Oh man,
Good God.
Yeah.
you, him, and Tenzai.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt Bloom.
Yeah, he's a hairy cat.
So I'm going to
Indeed.
mention in order. Obviously, they're sandwiched between the two Rumbles are two other matches right now. I don't know if there's anything else but these four matches.
Yeah, probably
So
not.
in
You figure this
order,
Rumble's gonna be over an hour, so
I would assume.
yeah.
Yeah.
In order as follows. The first, the starting will be the women's 30 Royal Rumble. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I'm thinking.
So we already have a bunch of wrestlers that are already known to have been,
Yeah,
declared.
yeah.
But I would like to ask each one of us, who is your surprise and who is your winner?
Oh
Obviously,
man,
there's gonna be plenty of surprises, but like
can we name more than one surprise?
you can if you like.
I got at
But
least three. I got at least three.
it's okay. So surprises and winner, because
Okay.
unless John Cena and Batista happens again where they fall out at the same time, there's probably gonna
Oh
be
man.
only one winner on each.
Oh
So
man.
give me a few surprises and then a winner, and then I'll go to Keith and then I'll go to D'Lo.
Mm.
Okay. So I'm first.
Yes.
Mickey James,
Okay.
Jordan
Mm.
Grace,
No,
Okay.
Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Nikki Bella. Um,
Okay.
and Jade Cargill wins. Is
Woo-wee.
also kind of a surprise, I guess.
I feel like that's the biggest surprise, but okay. We got a Jade Cargill sighting.
File cabinet.
Yeah.
I believe Naomi's gonna knock her out, if anything.
Mm.
My fucking file cabinet.
I
D'Lo,
think. Yeah.
who do you think?
It was all on my file cabinet, but damn.
Did
So,
I hit all your surprises, man? My bad, dude.
but yeah, but I got a
My
couple.
bad.
I got a couple different ones.
All right, cool.
So I got a surprise. Lola Vice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, NXT girls. Yeah, there was some NXT girls too that I didn't mention.
Lola
Needs to be
Vice.
some booty representation, yeah.
I had low key. I had Melina wrote down.
Okay,
Melina.
I like that. I like that idea.
he's been working lately, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Melina. Come back, do the thing, and then for some TNA outside of that. And Johnny B will love this one. Rosemary.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
That could be because she's been
yeah.
heavily featured.
And you
And
would love it. And my winner, Keith, I still use my file cannon because I had Jay win this thing too.
Yes, sir. All right.
what
All right.
You really use
muscle
my file cannon.
muscle bound mommies for the win?
Yeah.
Hey, now.
Oh man.
Uh,
All right.
Aiden
Okay.
Tiffy time.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So she's gonna go after Tiffy. You said Jade Cargill versus Tiffy?
I
That's
think.
nutty, Professor.
I think.
No. Jaden Rhea. That's what I think. Oh.
I
What about
think
you, Keith?
Bianca is going to end up being the one who attacked Jade, and somewhere along the way, Bianca's going to the belt, and
Yeah.
Bianca and Jade are going to wrestle each other at WrestleMania. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't even know which belt. She could win either one.
It would be the passing of the torch, it seems like, even though Bianca is still like young and she should be the champion right now.
Yeah.
Or maybe Bianca wins it at Elimination Chamber and then Jade faces Bianca. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. You see, that's what I'm saying. I think Bianca's gonna come out with it somehow. You know,
Okay.
and yeah. And then Jade and Bianca for the title at WrestleMania. That's what I think.
I feel like that's too
That sounds
quick of a
like-
rub for somebody who was off TV pretty much because she was green.
Yeah, but just looking at stories, it makes sense. That's my thing.
Oh.
Booking it as a story writer, it would make sense.
Yeah, I get that. I get it.
Yeah.
I feel like Jade and Naomi.
She doesn't even have to win.
I
You
had
know what I
reverse
mean?
it.
She doesn't have to win. She just wrestler, you know, at WrestleMania.
I hear that. So what I have for surprises is that Jordan Grace, even though I don't assume she's a surprise considering that they signed her and everything and she was already in it
Yeah.
last year. I have a feeling that we're going to get an Asuka sighting. I'm interested to see if we get an Alexa Bliss. I almost guarantee we're seeing Charlotte.
Yeah.
Oh, she is.
And I imagine it would be her, but deep down in my heart of hearts, I cannot see Charlotte Flair win that Royal Rumble and be happy. It would be like watching the Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl over again. Even though a week later, that's what we're going to do. See it all over again. But I've been saying it since like we mentioned, Jordan Grace is my pick to win it. As far as other TNA talent, I feel like we could get. What about some Tasha Steele's love?
Oh, she's dope. I love Tasha Steele.
that.
People don't realize she used to
What
be the
about-
champion over there. Like,
What about Zeta? Like, what about some of the ID kids?
actually, interestingly enough,
Ooh.
that would be cool. I just feel like it might be too early, especially considering that the Royal Rumble is for a lot of it's not just marks. You know, it's a lot.
Right.
And for this 30, the 30 you have, considering there's a lot of people that want AJ Lee to be there, considering that there's a lot of people that want like I feel like Michelle McCool might be there.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
There's
she's
not
been
enough
doing some
space.
stuff.
There's not enough space for people like that. Maybe even Zaria comes up. I could see
Yeah, I
Zaria
was gonna
coming
say
in and her
the
and
foreign
Jordan Grace
girls.
having her and Jordan Grace having a big standoff.
Right.
Which is one of the coolest things about the Royal Rumble is that you have the two imposing ones like a Nia Jax or a Raquel or like a Jada or Jade and Raquel even or something like that or Bianca and Raquel or like something like that. But I feel like this year's would be Jordan Grace and Zaria would be really cool. And then so that's who I have. And
So
I'm
do
hoping
you
for a
guys
big one.
think you guys think Masha gets in it?
I feel like the Jordan Grace
I
thing
doubt
would be enough for them.
Nah.
Masha is already being
I
you
doubt
know,
it.
Unless if Cora Jade's in it and they
Right.
do more of their rivalry,
Right.
it hurts her none to be in the Royal Rumble and lose.
Yeah.
So but I feel like one major champion in the Rumble is enough, and we know who that one is, and it's in the men's.
Hmm.
So otherwise, that's
So
who I have right now. Yeah.
so what about what about Jakara Jackson
Hmm. But
Lash?
I feel like they aren't surprises in my head
Gotcha.
because I
Okay.
feel like I've seen them so much. I almost
Right.
don't consider NXT talent to be surprises. Like
Right.
Roxanne, I feel like Roxanne could be in it.
Roxanne's gonna be in it. I feel like Cora and Fallon could be in it too.
Hmm.
All the foreign
Definitely
girls
in there. Ooh,
could
ooh.
probably be in it.
It's gonna be on fire.
Sorry, I didn't mean to lump them all in one group, but that's kind of how they came in. So
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, all the international talent.
So this match actually coming up, what I wanted to talk about, this one seems like a dream match that
Okay.
I conjured up in my head one day.
Mm.
Best 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE Tag Team Champions between carbon copies of each other. If we're being honest, DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa against who are the champions against the MCMG, Motor City Machine Guns, not the guys who made Electric Feel, but Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, and
And kids.
I find exactly I find them to be those teams like almost identical.
Yeah.
In their style, like they have good tag team offense. They're good practitioners on their own.
Yeah.
But I feel like we could get such a good match, especially 2 out of 3 falls, which means that each of them get to do their tag team finishers at least once. I don't really care for MCMG's one. It's just a neck breaker into a splash, but hey,
Hey,
it is. But
Okay,
if the timing's right on it, though, man, it looks.
better.
it
If
looks
the
good when
timing's
timing's
right
right.
on it,
Yeah.
it looks really good. If the
That's a big
timing's
if
on it,
though, because
yeah,
the timing has been off for the amount of
yeah.
times that they've been here. The
The
timing's been off
Ninja
more
Girls were a
times than
better
not.
one. The Ninja Girls were a bad version of her. So
Hmm. So who do we think is going to win this match? Are we going to get retaining champions, or is somebody going to be a 2-time, 3-time champion?
two, two, two
Mm,
times.
Would it be
two times.
MCMG's second
Yeah,
time?
we second. It'd be second.
Okay. All right, because they won it and then they lost the deal. Okay.
But I gotta
So who
let
do we
DIY
think?
retain.
You got
DIY.
DIY? Any shenanigans? Any
A
you
little
see any
that, a
cool
little pretty
spots?
deadly, a little pretty deadly interference, but
Ah,
it'll be like
yeah.
inadvertently in a way that will kind of help DIY and screwed Motor City Machine Gun type way.
And then it'll set up another rivalry for so Pretty Deadly can actually be pretty relevant.
And there'll be a ladder man.
And they're growing on me. They're
I
growing.
love Pretty Deadly.
Yes,
I love Pretty
boy.
Deadly. Talented kids, man.
Yes,
Who
boy.
who do
So,
you think, Keith? Who do you think is going to come out on top? And is there any shenanigans?
so I think DIY comes out on top. They are well, they're setting it up like they're going to wrestle Fraxium. And I think that match is bigger if they both still have belts. So I think DIY is going to maintain it because they've still got stuff to do as champs. There could be shenanigans. At the very least, there'll be some, little cheating. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily big time outside interference or anything. Although I do think Pretty Deadly's really, really good. And I love the fact that, like, just because they wear pink and they love theater, everyone on the internet thought they were gay until they found out that they were both married to women. That was funny.
Do you
That was
really
like
think that's the case? It's the crop tops.
It's the bralette.
That's the reason. It's the bralette.
Hey,
Yeah, it's the bralette.
hey, if you've not been on Sheen and looking at the Manfinity wear,
No.
Manfinity makes crop tops for men. Manfinity, dude, go on Sheen sometime and look up Manfinity. Those clothes are something else. But it could definitely be the crop tops, though.
I'm still waiting.
Definitely.
I'm still waiting for my romper from Timu.
Hey, now.
Lord.
Dude, that romper from Timu is going to rip in about 3 days.
That's the point.
Very
Hey,
nice. That is the point.
I'm all about my yin. Hey.
But
So what
But
I
yeah.
think For the
Yeah.
exact same reason. Were you done with your
Oh yeah, no, I was good. I was just gonna
prediction?
reiterate. Go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah, you're good.
But for the same exact reason you said, I feel like MCMG loses. I mean MCMG wins the titles back.
Really?
I feel like Pretty Deadly comes out and tries to do the whole mess up, and then Los Garzas come out
Uh,
because
okay.
they've all four of them have been intertwined in a way, and Los Garzas has a thing against Pretty Deadly, and they also have a thing against DIY, which I think most teams have something against DIY at this point. And then maybe even Montez Ford.
Jagoffs.
Ooh.
Maybe even the Street
Street
Profits
Profits?
come out and mess up DIY because obviously this whole thing started because DIY attacked the Street Profits. And if we're not going to see Montez Ford in the Rumble, we might as well see him somewhere.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have with shenanigans for the third pin.
A
I
lot of
have MCMG winning again, and then Johnny Gargano and Ciampa can fight Fraxium, and it's
Or the NXT titles, I guess, just without. Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of shenanigans.
Yeah.
That's a
I
lot.
feel like it'd be cool. It would mean more. Also, the fact that DIY was one of the greatest NXT
They've
tag
talked about
team
that. Yeah, they've talked about that.
during the age of very good tag teams in NXT. They had
Yeah.
so many good tag teams. It was like an embarrassment of riches. Something we've never gotten from them since.
Right. Fraxium is Fraxium's a thrown together team, and they're pretty much just wrestling other teams that are sort of thrown together. Like that one tag team, they're brothers, right?
OTM?
Yeah, but for the most part, it seems like it's just,
homies.
Well, that's always how NXT was.
Yeah.
They were like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll throw together Jason Jordan and freaking Seth Rollins or something like that.
That tag team that Buddy Murphy was in, they were so good. The one with Alexa Bliss, and they weren't even supposed to be a team. Like it was supposed to be a one-off thing, and then they caught on and ended up winning the freaking belts. Like they put them together to job out to one of their bigger teams, and then they were like, "We like this," and they ended up freaking winning the belts.
But that was NXT's whole gimmick. They were like, "Oh, let's just put people together like Enzo and Kaz and Aiden and Simon Gotch and figure a way, just figure it out."
Yeah. Sometimes it works.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't. We've seen that.
Yeah.
I will say that the next match, part of me is wondering if we're getting shenanigans, but I don't actually think that we're going to get a title change.
So hard,
I think the reason why I know we're not going to get a title change with Cody is because I think for sure we're getting MCMG new tag champions. Because I think there has to be a change in some. I feel like it would give more emphasis on the Rumble.
Yeah.
And this match I was talking about, which was prefaced, they had the not autograph sign, but the contract signing with Shawn Michaels, where I thought he was going to get Spike Piledrive. I said it last week, and then they did the okie doke and did a sweet chin music, which I kind of
we
liked.
all got to see Shawn Michaels looking like Gene Okerlund
with his bald head. Yeah,
his freaking hat came off for a minute. He put that
thing back on real quick.
Yeah, he did. He was like, "Oh, my bald head."
If you young people didn't know, Shawn Michaels was a person that would have beat you up and stole your girl a few years ago.
Or at the very least, stole your girl.
He couldn't steal my lunch money today. So I will start with D'Lo this time. Who do you think is going to win? It's the undisputed WWE Championship ladder match between Rhodes of Cody and Owens of Kevin.
Going Cody freaking Rhodes.
Is there anything substantial that happens?
I feel that
Sammy
KO's
running.
Gonna be close. I was going to say Sammy, but KO's gonna be close. And then, just as he gets to it, he gets knocked down. And Sammy, he tries at one point, but to no work.
Tries to help who? Whom is he helping?
He tries to help Kevin.
Oh, he tries to help Kevin and go against Cody?
Interesting.
He tries to help Kevin, but doesn't interfere with trying to help Cody. He's trying to play face. He's trying to play both sides.
I have a lot of theories with this. There's so many things.
That's what he's trying to play.
Yeah,
and then, when Cody comes back to life, Sammy, wasn't there.
Because there's only one reason why this is a ladder match.
Because
No
Kevin,
rules.
There's 2 belts.
DQ. No DQs.
right.
No DQ.
KO got the belt. Because KO
Anybody
shouldn't have the
can,
belt.
anybody can run up there and get the title. Sami Zayn
Right,
can take
right.
the Winged Eagle title and just run away with it if he wants to. He's like, I'm finally
That could happen.
champion. I never thought
That
this would
could happen.
happen. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Keith, I'm expecting so many shenanigans, so I want to see how many.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
But who do
So
you think wins this?
yeah, so I mean, I'm a huge supporter of Cody Rhodes. I would like to see Cody Rhodes have a 5-year title reign, like, to be completely honest.
He is.
Yeah,
Crazy.
man. That's yeah. I've never liked Kevin Owens, but I love dastardly heel stuff. So Kevin Owens has been kind of getting me lately. Like, I want to, in my, best heel voice, declare that Winged Eagle title is the real title. You know what I mean? He's the true champion. I love that. I love that stuff.
So you think he just grabs that and walks away?
Oh, that'd be amazing. But
That'd be fun.
no, I think Rhodes. I do think Cody's going to win. I think that Sammy. Oh, he's going to have to be involved somehow, but I don't think that it's going to be to help Kevin Owens, because I've watched wrestling long enough to know that anytime the babyface is indecisive and he looks like he's going to turn heel, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Especially when he hasn't said anything. It's just Kevin Owens assuming. So,
and Sami Zayn accidentally kicking everybody in the face.
Right, but that's,
saying love his boy. Him and Kevin go way back.
Accidentally.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
We saw it happen with Johnny Gargano, so I feel like it would be weird if they did it again.
Right. And I mean, he could purposely, kick him for real and be like, look, I did it on purpose this time. Blah, blah, blah. Help me win the Rumble. But the thing is, how bad does Sammy want to win the Rumble? I think Kevin Owens is going to freaking hold Cody for Sammy, and Cody's going to duck.
Kick, and then
he's going to kick
Kevin. Yeah.
And we're still not going to know. That's what I think. You know what I mean? I think it's still going to be going on, dude. I think it's going to be we don't know. And I don't think that's going to be the finish. I think that's just going to be part of the match. So,
very much so. I have a feeling. So you have Cody as well winning?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I have Cody winning. I have a bunch of shenanigans.
All the shenanigans.
So what I think is that they're going to literally, even people that are in the Rumble are going to come out and try to mess him up, which is going to lead to people in the Rumble being injured. So they'll be easier to throw out, like a Drew McIntyre, or like the fact that
interesting,
because there's so many. Remember, because of the bloodline thing, everybody's intertwined in a way. So like, I one thing, the obvious one was like Sammy, but another one that I thought was Randy.
Okay.
And I figured that Randy Orton would come out and help Kevin.
Right.
At first,
they've been heading that way, yeah.
Yeah, and especially the fact that in the manner of which Randy Orton has been off the television, I feel like he's going to turn around and also hit Kevin Owens with an RKO.
Yeah.
He's going to RKO both of them.
Interesting.
And then
do you remember when Undertaker and Yokozuna had that casket match and 900 people came out and helped Yokozuna win?
Part of me thinks that we could get something like that.
Literally every heel in the locker room came out and beat Undertaker up and put him in the casket.
Because what if, right? What if Roman's just like, okay, bloodline, go help Cody because I need to face him in the Rumble.
Right.
So Jimmy comes out, Jay comes out, and then Solo and Jacob come out because they come out. And it becomes just a bloodline versus bloodline again with 2 token whites.
And then
fighting for the title.
And then Jacob Fatu puts Solo in the corner and gives him that freaking hip smash.
And makes him bleed like he did Braun Strowman.
Yeah, man.
Gruesome.
Internal bleeding. You can't see it, but it's real.
It's inside of his body.
It's on the ends. Take everything from the inside. No, that's funny. So yeah, I'm calling mainly I'm calling for a mess of people. Even Shawn Michaels maybe come out.
Yeah, man.
Who knows? Like, oh, you tried
Kevin Owens to pop up powerbomb.
Yeah, exactly. But no.
Talking nigga kills.
I think the one time I ever seen Shawn Michaels do a power bomb was in the video game, and I changed it. I went in there. I was like, nope.
He does not do that. Yeah.
Exactly. Nope.
Remember when Shawn Michaels' finishing move was a back body suplex? Not even a
Yes,
German.
actually.
A high angle back body suplex.
That was an interesting one.
Hitting fools with that, man.
And his big forearm.
Yeah.
Or no, and the elbow. He also used to finish people
Well,
with the
yeah,
elbow.
but he couldn't use the elbow as a finish because it was Macho Man's finish.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he did it, but he couldn't win matches with it.
He would do it as a setup move, which is always interesting to me. But
yeah.
So we got that down.
Backwards.
I'm calling for shenanigans, but all three of us have the same.
Yeah.
And that leads to probably the biggest Royal Rumble in the last 10 years. Maybe even 20 at this point.
Yeah.
Just because of how many options open up with the TNA thing, the TNA contract agreement where they're commingling. Not only that, NXT is strong right now. And we can also get people returning, like, maybe an Aleister Black, which I said wouldn't happen because I think it would be too early, and I feel like Aleister Black Malachi would be scared that Buddy Matthews would be put in creative hell because of it.
Just let him. Hold on one second, guys. Dude, he knows where the furnace is, bud. Just have him go down in the basement.
So, D-Lo,
Yeah.
tell me, who do you think are your few surprises, and then who do you think wins?
We got a surprise for you right here. Brother Nero, Jeff Hardy. That's a surprise.
Whoa.
Oh.
That's a real surprise.
Okay.
That would be a surprise that will go crazy.
Part of me thinks that the Hardys are going to go after whoever wins the tag team championship.
And I got another one for you. Josh Alexander.
Oh, you got one of my guesses. That's 100. I feel like that's 100% going to happen, especially Ethan Page comes out first.
And then I had the Ethan Page too first, and then the North reunion I had that too.
I would love to see that because
that'd be dope. I ain't gonna lie.
I feel like a lot of WWE fans, they don't actually know how good Josh Alexander is.
It was dope together. It was tough. So that'll be a real surprise. I would like to see the North reunion.
I think that would be absolutely.
And then if you smell, he's coming back in number 30. The final boss is back. That's your last surprise. But the winner, I've been thinking about this for the last 2 days. I had Braun Baker at first, but things changed. So I got CM Punk.
Ooh, wee. Okay.
All right, so sorry about the interruption. My furnace isn't working, so the furnace guy's here.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you guys picked any of that up, my apologies.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So Keith,
I didn't hear D-Lo stuff, so if I do any repeats, my bad.
So D-Lo, I'll preface. D-Lo said that
Brother Nero.
Yep. Right, I heard that.
Then Josh Alexander.
Okay.
And Ethan Page.
Okay.
And then the winner being Chick Magnet Punk.
Okay.
And
John Hendry or Joe Hendry.
Okay.
Obviously. Yeah. I said John, my bad. Joe Hendry, Bubba Ray Dudley.
Ooh.
Booker T.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Corey Graves.
Mine.
Sorry, man.
Hey.
Booker T, Corey Graves, Trick, Oba.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably it.
That's it too.
Yeah. And I think that Joe Hendry's gonna win. I think if Joe Hendry doesn't win, because I mean that's kind of both of my predictions are wild. But Joe Hendry, I really think Joe Hendry's gonna win, but if they decide not to go with the TNA guy, which they could, Carmelo.
Ooh. I've heard a lot about him being the Iron Man.
Yeah.
Who I think Carmelo
could win it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it would be It would be huge. And I like the year that Rey Mysterio won. You know what I mean? You don't get unpredictable winners in the Royal Rumble very much anymore. But the way that they've been building Carmelo, finally, he could actually win the Rumble.
Okay.
And then they've got, 4 months to get, or 3 months, 2 months, however many, 3 months, right? To get him where they need him to be, to get it to where he's a believable number one contender. So
We'll see.
Mm.
So
Right.
I have a ridiculous list
Mm.
of people I think, because I've just absolutely
Johnny
been
Knoxville,
racking my head. No,
Drew
please no.
Carey,
Please no. Oh,
Mhm.
Captain Kirk. All right.
no,
Oh,
no, thank you.
Captain Kirk's 98. He's not doing anything.
I will say that Joe Hendry, I feel like was going to be in. He's going to be either 1, 2, or 3 because they need that pop and they need the space to give him that pop.
Mm.
One thing I will say is that I have a lot of people that I think are going to be. I think LA Knight will be number 1,
Mm.
but I want to
I
see
think
Ilya.
Logan Paul might be number 1.
What a monster.
I got Seth
Or
starting
1 or
with Roman
2.
Reigns.
I think Logan Paul might be 1 or 2.
Just like a smack to the face about what he said to Gunther. He's like,
Yeah,
oh, I don't need to beat 30 other people. I can just come in last.
yeah. But then I think he's going to spend a lot of time running and hiding. Like, I think that he's going
Outside
to
of the
last
ring?
a long time. Yeah, he's going to last a long time, but it's going to be because he's not doing anything.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. So I
And
have
I think he might start. Sorry, one more thing. I think he might start with like Braun or somebody like that. Some huge dude. Like, yeah, I think he's going
Braun
to start with
Strowman or
I
someone.
hope you
Riker?
started Jacob Fox too.
Strowman.
That'd be fucking
Okay.
Strowman. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Please
And,
start Jacob Fox too.
So
Oh, that'd be
I
right.
think a few
Destroy him.
surprises. I want to see the return of Ilya Dragunov.
Ooh,
Mm.
love that.
I would like to see, and who I thought would have been the Iron Man would have been Montez Ford.
Mm.
Be in there for a long time, not necessarily win. I'd love to see names like Andrade. I'd love to see Brody King.
Mm.
Ooh,
I'd love to
that's
see
a
Matt
shock.
Cardona.
Yeah, I think Cardone's going to be there. And Nick
I feel
Evans,
like
my bad.
I feel like Pat McAfee will be there, and because he's there, Corey Graves is going to go after him.
Yes.
Because he's like,
Yes.
wait, I've been wanting to wrestle for so long, and then this is like your third WrestleMania, your third Royal Rumble, and you've been in
Yeah.
more WrestleMania matches than I have, and
Yeah.
you've been
Yes.
like,
That's
and
good.
and now I'm downgraded and like demoted, and like, no, I can still go. I feel like I do feel like Carlito's going to be in it. Dragon Lee.
How much do you think he likes Booker T calling him gravy?
Gravy. He hates it.
I'm
Yeah,
sure he
imagine.
does, dude. He's gotta hate it. He's
I
gotta
imagine.
hate it because I hate it.
Ew.
He went from calling him Vic to gravy. Like,
Oh, get
Ew.
me out now. Get me out now.
yeah.
That is bad.
What I will say is that I would love Big E to make his return if possible,
Yeah, it'd be fire.
with both of the New Day members in there, because part of me thinks that because Kofi has always been in a Royal Rumble, that he'll be there, and then Xavier Woods. The fact that they've
Yeah.
been, wrestling recently kind of tells me that. I've thought for a while that the winner would be CM Punk ever since last year when he was supposed to happen. And the fact that him and Roman Reigns had that tension, and then him and Cody recently had that tension. But part of me thinks that favor that Paul Heyman owes CM Punk might cash in during the Royal Rumble, and it'll be Roman Reigns versus CM Punk in the final.
That's what I was saying too.
And I don't know how Paul Heyman does it. I don't know how Paul Heyman could possibly mess him up. But I do feel like the last two will be Roman Reigns and CM Punk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. Roman Reigns has won a Royal
Yeah, he
Rumble,
won.
yes?
Yeah, he won one. 2015.
CM Punk has never?
Never, ever.
I think it has to be CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the hottest. Also, I would like to talk about next week about heels, because I think Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre are both on generational heel runs.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
fact that Kevin Owens had a shirt that said Cody sucks eggs.
He's an egg sucking dog, baby.
Yeah, because it was
Egg sucking dog.
exactly going back to Dusty Rhodes' feud back in the day, but he was wearing a Naomi shirt before he fought Jimmy Uso.
Yeah.
He was wearing a Bret the Hitman Hart with a Sami Zayn Forever shirt, like a Jackass reference. So that's one thing I want to mention next
So
week, as
good.
far as like the best heel gimmicks or the best heel runs, like singular
Awesome.
runs, not just like a lifetime worth, but like
Dude,
a
best
certain
heel
run.
run. I mean,
No, don't save it.
we'll
Save
talk
it for
about
next
it.
week.
We'll talk about it next week. But yeah.
We also are at the 2 hour mark.
Yeah. So we just want to wrap things up real quick because this is our last Kish Radio spot. Apologize to Jay for running over a little bit, man. But we want to thank Jay Sizzle and Kish Radio for the
Listen.
opportunity to as soon as we got started almost reach more listeners than we ever could have on our own. It was awesome for Jay to come on as a moderator and see the potential and reach out and offer us a spot on Kish. And starting tomorrow, we are going to be streaming live on our YouTube channel. And our hope
Roundtable
is,
Wrestling.
Roundtable Wrestling on YouTube. Our hope is that people will follow us over there. Hopefully, we've entertained you enough that you'll come and check out our YouTube channel. We felt like our audience was growing enough to the point where we wanted to kind of monetize and kind of get out and do our own thing and spread our wings. But we could not have done that without the opportunity that Kish Radio presented to us. So thank you so much for that. We are going to go live for the duration, baby. Starting with the pre-show. I think it's at 4:00. We will be going live on YouTube, and we will be doing a watch along for the whole Royal Rumble. I will be there for the whole thing. My fellow co-hosts and guests, you can be there for the whole thing too, Dave?
I'll be
Right
there.
on.
I'll be there at 5. I ain't
All
gonna
right.
be there for the whole
All right.
pre-show.
I'll join you for the
everybody's gonna be-
pre-show.
Yeah, everybody will be popping in and out. Brent's gonna be having a Rumble watch show, so he's gonna pop in with some of that. It'll be like the old Nitro parties.
You're down,
But
baby.
yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. Tyler Martin has worked so hard to get us to this point. Thank you, Tyler and ME Studios, man. If you guys got anything to say, go for it.
I will say that we appreciate all our listeners on Kitch. Appreciate the ones listening on Spotify. Appreciate the ones watching on YouTube. Definitely check us out on YouTube. We have video. We have pretty good audio quality, and we're going to be having some more displays and layouts and things. We're definitely moving in a good direction, and we're definitely doing our best to make sure that this year is a great year to watch wrestling, and we're going to be on top of things. And I hope you love listening to us, and we plan on giving you much more. And this is the absolute best time to be a wrestling fan. And this is the
Perfect
season.
time. The perfect.
From now on, from this day, from the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, we're going to be on top of things, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some more guests, hopefully, and enjoy listening. We're gonna Jay Sizzle, who is a big Philadelphia Eagles fan, he is wondering where the apology is, and it's not coming because I do not have a single apologetic bone in my body. The better team won. It's obvious. However, without those fumbles, I think we were doing well.
Yeah.
I will say for a fact that the Eagles, if they do not bring it and they do not beat the Chiefs, then y'all, Howie Roseman and all y'all just need to go in a hole somewhere.
Oh, heck no.
Because
Panther Nation is crazy.
That's a crazy statement. Also, shout out to Joe Sheen from the Giants for making the single biggest mistake of his entire career in the first year of his tenure as GM of the Giants. Saying, "Oh, who's going to match Saquon? Oh, it's not like he's going to get 2,000 yards. Gets 2,000 yards.
Ain't like he the best
with a game to go." So congratulations to people that aren't good at their jobs. But we're good at our jobs.
So hopefully Jay's cool with me reading this. This is a message that Jay sent to us in the group chat during the podcast. where he said you guys are awesome. It was a pleasure to have you guys. Best of luck in the future. Don't give up. You all rock. And man, we appreciate the support, Jay. Thank you so much. We appreciate everybody who's come on as a guest host or a guest or regular host who can't be with us today. Brent and Johnny Boston and Chad. David,
Yeah.
what you got to say, brother?
Thanks for having us here. And thanks for bringing me on this ride. We want to keep this thing flowing and check my shit out too. I'm on D-Lo show. Give you Massive Warfare. Let's do that. And
Right on.
let's get on this hustling. It's Royal Rumble time. It's time to get it in the next gear.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Check out your nearest bars that have the Royal Rumble. Find a friend that, maybe go half with them and watch the Royal Rumble. It's the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's something to bring people
Like
together.
the playoffs.
Spend $7.99 and get Peacock with ads.
Game 7.
Playoffs. Yeah, true.
$7.99 for Peacock with ads. It's not, not super expensive.
Not horrible, yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. We're headed to the Rumble. Chad should be on the road to Indianapolis going to the Rumble, so safe travels.
Yeah, we need him in the Rumble.
Yeah. And we'll see y'all tomorrow, man.